You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Podcast. This is episode number 173 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by co-host Zach Burcham, and we have a pair of McKowns. We have Mike McKown over there and Blake McKown. We're doing our race episode, Zach.
Yep. And so first we're going to do, since we're here, the air conditioning works this week. I'm so glad it's back on for me to be back in the studio. It feels great in here. We have to thank all the Patreon people for that. If you can donate starting at any amount. Mason's like the low baller, but generally start at $5. If you get $50 or more, you get your name mentioned at the beginning of every episode. And that's Craig DaCosta, Chris Lamb, Christy Avery, Jonathan Phillips, and still newcomer Anthony Meyer. Thanks for keeping the lights on and the AC running. We have a couple of T-Chip stores. You can get your merch, support the show as well. BHOL 1, 2, and 3. It looks like they've been working on some new stuff. So we got masks out. That's at BHOL 4. And mugs available at tchip.com, BHOL mug. I would say that Guffey's going to post that in the thing, but I just beat him to it. So
you're doubling up here.
I was ready.
Quite the multitasker.
So the mugs were brought back by a popular request because Rich Turvey, friend of the show, he ran for Congress about 4 years ago and bought the mugs. He broke his when he moved back home. He moved to North Carolina for a year or two and then moved back to Indiana, and the mug was broken in transit, and said, "Do y'all have any new mugs?" And I said, "That's perfect because we got the new logo now. We've had this logo for 2 years. You got to get the new mug." So that mug's out there. And then last week on the show, we discovered, you know what, we ought to have masks too. So if you jump on there, they'll print you a mask up and you'll be good to go.
Fall's coming.
And then you can walk around and publicly shame everybody.
Yeah.
Look at them all judgy like because you're.
No, I just did that when I stopped to get my drink. I walked in. I was like, I'm the only one in here wearing a mask. Me and one other customer. There were other people, some of them representing government agencies in uniform.
This was the Speedway?
Masks. Yeah.
Do you think it'll be a different regime when 7-Eleven takes over?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm still getting over the fact that 7-Eleven's in a position to just buy a company. For how much was it? It was like $21 billion. I didn't know 7-Eleven was that big still. I guess you don't realize they're overseas business, but.
Yeah, you have no concept. Mike's wearing an NTT Data shirt, and I had no idea who they were, and they're the AT&T of Japan.
Absolutely.
Massive company.
We're throwing back for Tony Kanaan's last ride. That's probably not his last ride.
His last ride. I'm going to have to do another ride because nobody's here to see this one.
So this is going to be our Indy 500 special. This is the third annual version of this. Excited to get to do this again. We're 2 months tardy, which I guess we just blame that on the pandemic along with everything else that's gone sideways with the virus. Found out a couple weeks ago that there's going to be no fans. So we are going to be watching remotely for the very first time. I think, except for producer Chris over there, I think all of us intend on going to the race anytime we physically have the ability to go to the race.
Never again.
And then over there is producer Chris, who's one and done.
I've done it. I'm out.
You need to do a race morning the way that I do a race morning, Guffey. It's better.
I would, but you never invite me.
Guffey, I invited you to come down and see me and never saw you.
I believe I was adamantly looking for you because you said you were going to buy me food.
I was going to buy you a track.
I do believe that Chris did wander down that way and never did connect. But this year it won't be that hard. You could find if Mike was allowed to go, he'd be the one guy standing out there because it's a barren wasteland. Although I have heard rumor that the governor is going to go, so I don't know if that's the most politically smart thing for him to do. But he went to the GP July 4th, and then he was involved in not letting anybody go.
He shut the park down. Went to the park.
Do you think? He did shut down Brown County, and then he visited the governor's residence down there.
He was eating in Speedway a couple days ago. My brother saw him at Big Woods, eating on the patio.
I don't know.
The real news is that Charlie Brown's is back open.
It is reopened.
I need to get over there.
Have you been to Speedway yet this month at all, Mike? Have you driven by?
I went Saturday night, and we were going to meet a bunch of race friends there, and there was no one there. There was like 10 people in Big Woods.
I drove by the track on Fast Friday and just did a drive up Main Street and Speedway, and then took the roundabout, and then came across 16th at Polko, and then followed that back downtown. And there were some cars on track, and that felt good. I didn't stop. I wasn't one of the diehards that was standing there in the 16th and Polko lot on the outside, but I did at least get to hear an Indy car on the track.
Right.
I'm planning on going for carb day. I'm taking a half day. I normally take 5 days of vacation during the month of May, and I've so far taken 0. So I'm like, I can take a half day to go listen to cars on track. Apparently, they don't endorse you hanging outside the track, but they have a merchandise trailer out there.
And Doug Bowles will come with it.
That's what I was
The president will come out and take selfies with you. Doug's great, though.
With masks on.
In a really nice suit, by the way.
Always.
Good-looking suit.
Always there. So, Mike, you're an old timer at the Speedway. That's an official club. We've documented in the show notes. If you're a patron, you get the show notes before every episode. Back in May, there was a story about the independent photographers being shut out of IndyCar races throughout the year. It sounds like it loosened up a little bit, where there were maybe some that were going to be allowed in. How's your quest to being able to shoot your damn near 40th Indy 500 going?
This would have been 38, and Associated Press has 5 people, one in each turn and one for the rest of the track, I think. I was not allowed to go. I tried every single media outlet and was unable to. And from what I understand, there's a very small handful of people, and there were 420 last year.
It's unreal. Yeah. Unreal. If you are the girlfriend of a race car driver, though, you'll get in. So you've got like a day or two. I don't know what Dalton Kellett's into, but maybe maybe you can find yourself somebody that'll get you in.
Maybe Blake can. He would be a very fine looking woman.
I'll be a roadie for Colton Herta. That's about it. I'll join his band.
That would work. Do you have skills? Are you
not a one? No.
Could not carry a tune in a dump truck.
You would not make it as a zit.
No.
Well, shoot. So
if you can put wheels on a golf cart, Rossi might be looking for you.
We might be able to do that.
So how are we going through withdrawals here? How are we reacting?
Blake, what was my demeanor last weekend during qualifying?
I have seen my dad upset very few times about racing, and that was whenever Marco set the pole. Literally, I see it on the television, calls me 5 seconds later. Marco just set the effing pole.
You weren't standing there by his side in a time of need?
I was at Top Golf. So
we all cope in different ways.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Incredible. You know, I've been an Andretti guy since 1976 or 77, and for Marco to win that pole and me not be able to be there was pretty humiliating for me.
It's frustrating. I've had mixed results in being able to get there throughout the month of May. So this year I pretty much planned on doing the GP, and then I was probably not going to make it for qualifying weekend. It's always getting away for 3 weekends in May is always difficult, and then in August it just wasn't. It's probably not in the cards, and then they canceled it anyway. I was like, okay, well that's fine. I'm kind of used to watching qualifying days on TV. I'm about 50-50. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not. Last year I had a wedding in Wisconsin that had me away, so I had at least been prepped for the disappointment.
For me, it's always juggling high school baseball games versus days at the track. And a lot of those days I would go to the track early at 11 or whatever, and then leave at 2 and get back for a ball game at 4:30 to watch Blake play.
Yep.
When that season was canceled, I'm all in on the race and nothing.
And you think you're good. Yeah. Well, Zach and I compared notes when they moved this race in March. They moved it to August. That's also when they rescheduled a bunch of the IndyCar calendar. We're like, oh, great, This is going to be May and August, and we're going to be fine. Instead of the GP, we've got Mid-Ohio, but it's the same 3 weekends. It's going to be perfect. And then within 48 hours, it all just fell apart.
Yeah. I haven't been able to see a race car yet this year. And then normally I'm there. I'm like pull in for GP on Thursday, pull in for the 500 on Thursday. I'm there. Sometimes I'll pop over on Fast Friday for like a couple of hours, and I'm there Saturday, I'm there Sunday, and then I take a mental health day Monday. Normally they would do a big practice, and I would take off that whole day.
Now, is this a term you're using loosely, or is that real?
Mental health day?
Yeah.
No, no, it's not. No, I don't use sick time, but I save a personal day, but it's like, until they're old enough, I don't take the kids, I don't take anybody with me, so I can just do what I want to do that day.
Be a
just
little kid at the track.
Just roam around. And so like that day, you usually give pit access to people with bronze badges. So I'm in the pits, and then I'll walk out and walk all the way up to turn 1 and go all the way up to the East Stand penthouse, which is without going to turn 2, but you're under cover, eat lunch up there, watch them come down the straightaway, hustle my way back down to the pit lane to watch them come in from practice. And so, yeah, I spend like 2 weeks over the course of the month there. It feels like just hanging around. So I am having, the only thing that's been nice is I look at how much time I still have on the books for like time off. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good now, because I just I have so much time that I haven't used.
Fast Friday is always Blake's best autograph day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have gotten anybody that has attempted to qualify their autograph on a helmet the past 4 years.
You go stand down in the line and just stand across the wall?
I'm the kid that is standing there with a Sharpie and a helmet.
You get the white helmet every year?
White helmet, yep.
And you get the full field of 36 or 33 or whatever, however many attend and attempt?
Yeah.
At what point do you think your cuteness is going to wear off and they're going to say, stop it?
Connor Daly knows me. So we're that
It is true. I'm kind of waiting I was like, my oldest is 2 years away from getting a junior garage credential. And I have a friend who's got a son.
Unfortunately,
who's like
this was his last year to have a junior credential.
Yeah, and now if I get a bronze badge next year, it's just cheating. So we may hang it up.
Yeah, it's amazing how much better kids get treated.
Oh, it's insane.
Because like
if you get the bronze
or girlfriends,
you're only on pit road though. You're not on pit road. You got to get a silver. You got to get somebody to sponsor the silver badge over there.
He stands through the fence there at the pit lane, and when they come to get on their bicycle or their golf cart.
Unless you're Fernando Alonso, then you just drive right past me, and I beat you to your garage.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you chase down Fernando?
He's the hardest one. He's one of the hardest ones to get.
That I stalked for 9 straight hours. I'm not even joking.
He was the last one you had to have, wasn't he?
About third to last. I stood outside his garage for 4 hours, while he practiced.
This was with the 3-inch too high McLaren.
I was going to say, what kind of mood was he in at this point? Did you get his autograph before or after he missed the race last year?
Before.
He still signed some after.
One of his team guys came out and said, I'll take a few things in for him to sign. I have a fan club at the Speedway. They know me. I run around. They see me. Somebody took my helmet and gave it to the guy, and luckily I was one of the few.
Wow. So you didn't even get to be there when he signed it?
No.
We could see him through the door.
I was okay with that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I've seen a lot of fans. Jason Sipe is a longtime IndyCar fan, friend of mine, and he's just pissed as hell, doesn't want to have anything to do with the race. He's mad at the track. He's mad at the series, mad at the Speedway. Just wants nothing to do with it. How's that approach? Is that a valid approach to the month of Maugust?
I don't think it is. I don't think there is a driver or a crew member or a photographer or a rider that doesn't want the race to happen.
Turn your mic towards you're off the side of it just a touch. There you go.
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want it to happen. It's
outside the Indianapolis Star. The Indianapolis Star is some people that definitely didn't want it to happen.
Yeah, there's a contingent of people that are upset. I'm upset, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it on Sunday.
Yeah. You're frustrated, right? It's just a continued building of frustration.
But we're also frustrated that we have 2 weeks without high school football. That Blake has a teammate in tennis that's quarantined. This has affected more than auto racing. It's affected the world, and we're just going to do what we can do. And,
I've been talking about how we've been making lemonade out of lemons all summer with this, and you find the things you can do. And if you're an Indy 500 fan, you've got it a whole lot better than an IU football fan does this year.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, Yeah, you can't go to the race, but your event is still happening.
Correct.
And because the race is happening, there's probably going to be an IndyCar series and Indy 500 next year that you can go to to a bunch of races and you can actually attend the Indy 500 next year potentially.
But how would you like to be Roger Penske? Spend millions and millions and millions of dollars and not have a payday? You know,
See, it stinks for him, but it's great for us because I don't think the Holman George family was going to take the hit.
right?
I think he's got the pockets deep enough to do all this. But yeah, invested a bunch in the track. He's had to he's paid for, I think if there's been races without fans, I think it's ultimately he's writing a check. So yeah, we're lucky for that. We're lucky we're having racing to watch.
So I heard the total, and I'm going to try to. I've run out beyond my skis, and now I have to check and find out the name of the guy that gave the total. It's the first time I've heard anybody in any sort of a public medium list it. Ron Thomas on the Steve Zabin podcast said a week and a half ago that Penske paid $350 million for the track. Ron's grandfather was Johnny Parsons, who won the 1950 Indy 500. So he claims to have had a source that said, that released the number, said the number. It's been widely reported that since Penske bought the track in January, he's invested $15 million of his own money into the track to make massive improvements to video boards, updated a bunch of paving, a bunch of paint. Everybody's talked about the bathrooms getting the
Mike
getting the
was
big
most
upgrades.
excited about the bathroom.
I am very excited.
Somebody posted a picture of one bathroom that looked like it gotten left behind, though. They hadn't really gotten to all of them.
leave.
There's still
probably
some,
the one
The museum, maybe they put that in the museum with, with the old garage.
They should put a trough in the museum. Right there with that little garage that they have in the back. Right next to it should have been, this is what it used to look like.
Should have been, this is Mike's spot
Yeah.
for the old timers.
The old timers.
Do you have a favorite bathroom at the track?
I do.
Where is it?
Between the first and the
guys are
second
awful.
row in the garage area.
The
Oh,
garage
okay.
ones. The
Sure.
garage ones, you have your choice. You can wash your hands with soap or with Gojo, the hummus liquid soap. They have two different options in the Gasoline Alley bathroom.
I kind of like
Depending on how many track dogs I have, Guffey, depending on how many track dogs I have is whether I go to the second bathroom or the far private bathroom.
Blake. I like the
How did the
ones-
bathroom things come up again? Because,
We need to move on.
I'm a big fan of the ones over the top of the old timer suites.
Those
or
are-
the Legends
those are-
row. The
yeah.
Legends row there.
Those are fantastic.
Yeah,
Those are the most modern ones.
those are
in the
bathrooms with a
facility.
view,
yeah,
and
I've not.
and they're
had the
nice and clean.
privilege.
Really?
I've not had. the
Oh,
privilege.
next time we're going.
Show me.
Those are like the newest ones in the facility, I think. Those didn't even need updated, really. They probably still had
They're
troughs
probably
in them,
probably
but-
built in 2000
Yeah.
with the F1 garages when all that came about. And then if you want the true experience, you go out to the Turn 3 infield garages or infield bathrooms, and those are
The porta pots.
no, they're real. My family, we bring our own bucket and portaloo and little tent. For,
No, it's true. And when we were there, somebody snuck in the bathroom. They did a little bump of coke to get them through the
There you
event.
go.
Some random came through. I don't know the person, never saw them. I can't testify who they were, but I did witness the activity and said, "Yep, that story checks out for the 500."
You see things there you'll never
It
see.
looked like a little Carmex bottle or a little deal.
In the late 80s, I've always had to be in before 5 a.m. when the bomb goes off.
So that helps.
Yeah, so in the 80s, I used to stand on the top of the infield turn 4 bleachers and watch all the Yahoos drive through. And every year from probably 88 to the early 90s, there was always a hearse that came through with 3 urinals strapped to the side of it. And they'd come through that infield and the front wheels would come off the ground and it would just be crazy.
You hear him over there with his Slurpee,
Don't judge me.
just ice rattling. So let's pretend to be a little bit professional, just a little bit. Just try. Mike's talking.
Guffey doesn't like the 500.
No, he doesn't care. He doesn't respect it.
No, it's absolutely boring to me.
Doesn't respect the tradition.
It's whatever to me.
He'll grow up someday.
I'd rather be at a hockey rink.
So they did.
Soccer.
I've been to one hockey game.
I go to about one a year. We did get the announcement that the purse is cut in half, though. So this will probably be the year that Marco does win, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, he
get paid.
gets half as much money.
He gets half the money.
Absolutely.
I think he'll be okay.
He's probably one of the drivers that needs the funds the least to continue on with his career. So some stuff that Zach attends that's not happening this season. There's no parade. You always do the parade. That would have been Saturday. That's gone.
Yeah.
Mini
I'm
marathon.
always hydrating on Saturday.
You
trying
just
to get
have a little
ready.
IV in, trying to
I don't do
to
the
bulk
parade.
up.
Yeah.
Do you hydrate with buttermilk or what do you use?
Gatorade. No buttermilk.
Is he telling the truth, Zach?
Yeah.
What color? What colors you drink?
It's usually he calls it yellow, but the green Powerade, it's usually Powerade.
Time out.
Like
What-
the old school
what-
original stuff.
Green. It's lemon lime.
Yeah.
That's
it's
yellow.
Green.
Oh,
that's-
It's green.
That's yellow.
It's
Yellow.
It's lime green.
That's the original stuff. That stuff gives me.
How's that like? Have you had your eyes checked lately? Who do you see, Dr. Horn, or who's your optometrist? 'Cause-
Dr. Malott.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you pass the test?
No, I definitely don't.
Never does.
I'm gonna get you checked on. And you do play-by-play for the Trojans,
Yeah.
the yellow Newcastle Trojans.
A friend and I, we do the broadcasting for our home basketball games for our school announcements. It's called the NC Trojan Report, and we do the commentary and play-by-play for all the basketball games.
I look with them.
Yeah.
So you're
Luke's watching.
you're wearing a Justin Wilson T-shirt, and there are 4 primary colors on the helmet. Could you walk me through those?
I see both lemon and lime.
We got the yellow. Okay.
Green,
Yes.
blue, and red.
All right.
My eyes are fine.
I know. Now he pointed with a very distinct finger.
I always get yelled at for that. I do not mean to.
That's
We'll-
my boy.
We'll move on.
He kept it from the camera.
All right. So there are in this field 8 former winners: Castroneves, Dixon, Power, Kanan, Pagano, Rossi, Hunter Ray, and Sato. That's too short of the 1992 record of 10. Should we be pulling for a repeat winner so that the actual winner of the race doesn't get robbed of having fans and the pomp and circumstance and the explosion of excitement? You think of like Tony Kanan when he won and the place went absolutely insane.
That was my first ever 500.
I've never seen a crowd go crazy.
It was insane.
It was electric.
I came back the next year and was disappointed.
It doesn't happen every time. That was
whenever they set the record for most passes, and I'm sitting outside of turn 4 and I watch turn 1 and I see every single pass, and
it was unbelievable.
yeah.
So that's why I asked the question of, okay, do you want to see Colton Herter or Marco win, or do you want to be okay? Yeah, Scott Dixon, he needs to win a second Indy 500. The hell with it. This is going.
I don't think it matters.
You
I
just-
don't think it matters to that driver if they win with fans or without fans. They want to win the race.
I think it'll be remembered no matter what. I mean,
They
the
might
first-
get a warm reception next year. Like just for hopefully we're back next year. But
I think it'll be remembered no matter what. No fans, COVID season. I think it'll be remembered.
It's going to be unique. Is it going to be any less? I guess is it going to feel like we're not going to look at this like it's a lesser Indy 500, like this is 1998 and Eddie Cheever won because it was 2021 and it was run August and it was half the purse and there was nobody there.
I hope
it's still going to be.
It's not going to be the MLB season.
Yeah, this is still going to be fully matters, and we all.
And to my friends at NBC and the governor and Bowles and whoever else has anything to do with this, please let them do the victory picture without the mask on. Please. That's awful. Texas was absolutely horrible.
So that's the other side of it is you've got your visuals and you think as an artist or as a photographer and what you're going to remember about this. I know that they did the front row photos with masks off because the drivers were able to be distant. And I know that Victory Lane is always crazy anyway, right? You've got the milk presentation, you've got the wreath, you've got
27
the driver,
hats.
The driver comes in and they're trying to, I don't know if the
how much of that's going to be there?
I don't
That'd be
know.
interesting to see what Victory Lane looks like.
That's going to
I
be
don't know if
totally
they'll do
different.
the bottle
They'll have
of
like a
milk.
robot bring the milk in.
And the milk is
instead of
said
dairy
to be coming because the Indiana dairy farmers released their list, and I gave Connor Daly hell for saying skim milk on Instagram.
gosh.
And he's like, "I'll take whatever," but he said he wanted skim. You can call your boy up and work that out. I said, "I thought you'd be a buttermilk guy, and you want skim milk."
You drink buttermilk?
if I won the Indy 500, damn right I'm getting buttermilk. It's good enough for Louis
You know
Meyer.
what?
It's good enough for me.
I bet when you dump buttermilk on your head, I bet it takes way better pictures than anything. Buttermilk
Yeah, because it looks
it
like
has
cottage
kernels.
cheese.
Yeah.
I'm in for content. That's it. That's entirely about the visual. I don't want to look like Takuma Sato with thin skim milk coming across. I don't want that.
Yeah, but you also have to wear it for 4 hours.
Sorry.
Apparently, at the later in the day thing, it gets real rough when you're doing, especially when you're sitting there. You're not even going to be outside. They're going to, or they might stick you on the balcony, but you'll be doing Zoom calls for the next like 7 hours
or the next 7 days.
Yeah.
Now,
well, you get to change eventually, but that night,
A Team Penske driver, do you think they have a backup identical fire suit ready to go?
absolutely.
That's what I would do. I would have if I win the race, have my other suit ready. I'm disappearing for 5 minutes. I'm changing.
I don't
That's
think
what
it
I'm doing.
happens.
That's what I'm doing. So we don't care. We don't care who wins as long as the photos look right. Is that what we're saying? That we're
Yeah,
settling
I
on?
just don't want a mask. I mean,
Is that a political statement?
that's a political statement.
He's
NBC,
still
hear me
upset
now.
If you couldn't tell.
No mask for the winner.
I think it'll be interesting for the rookies this year when they come back next year and they see what it actually is like. Like, I feel sorry for it. Like, it'd be fun if there's a rookie near Tony Kanaan and he's like, and he goes to the driver intros this year and he's like, oh, this is whatever. And then the next year he's still near Tony Kanaan and he gets to come out when Tony Kanaan comes out and you realize, oh, you're a thing here.
Yeah,
They have
you
no
and
idea.
Carpenter.
They have no idea. Like these guys. Like I heard an interview with Kanan. He said it's so weird. He's like, I leave my motorhome. I got 3 Sharpies in my pocket. He's like, because it's easier to sign. He's like, why do I have Sharpies? He's like, there's nobody to sign any autographs for. He says he still keeps them in his pocket just in case. So
How many yellow shirts did they not hire this year? I wonder.
Hundreds.
Yeah, I mean they can't need them.
who do you need? Although I mean, I see him. Yeah, a couple for Gasoline Alley and a couple to make sure.
There's
you
probably
turn in the
2 or
right
3
direction.
with the trophy and stuff like that, but none of my crew at the pin entrance are there this year.
So there are 4 rookies: Askew, Palou, VK, and Pato Award, who was here last year. You got to autograph
Crashed the
last
car.
year.
I got
Crashed the
his
car.
autograph, yes.
But he's technically a rookie. 33 guys, first time since 1991 that we did not have a female entered in the race. They tried. Pippa Mann tried, but because of the pandemic, they couldn't.
She was unsuccessful.
They couldn't get the sponsorship to work out. Unfortunately, very diverse field though. Otherwise, 12 countries represented. You got 15 Americans, 3 from the United Kingdom, 2 from Spain, 2 Swedes, 2 Australians, 2 Brazilians, 2 Canadians, 1 Frenchman, actually from France, not a French Canadian. Tagliani's not here this year. 1 Japanese, 1 Mexican, that's Pato, 1 Dutch driver, and 1 New Zealander. Producer Chris, who's the New Zealander?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a very New Zealand type name. Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon.
Sure. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Sounds like he's from Tulsa. Some guy. All right. 16 Hondas, 17 Chevys. Everybody's on Firestone tires, and they're all in the 8-year-old or 9-year-old DW12 chassis. 2 crashes so far this month: Fernando Alonso and Scott Dixon.
Both in turn 4. Both landed where Mike McKown would be taking pictures.
Yeah, you got robbed. You would have sold those pictures.
Absolutely. Fernando Alonso picture would have been all over the world.
Yeah.
Instead, it's somebody from down in turn 1 using a long lens, getting him crawling out of the car.
You got hosed.
Where would you normally be in relation to pin entrance?
I'm the very first photographer inside pit entrance.
So he would have gone right because
yes, he would have been within 10
Alonso's
feet of
backward
me.
slide was the luckiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
To back it through the pit entrance. And if you look at the video, you're like, oh, pit lane's pretty wide. It's not right there at the beginning.
No, it's not.
The
That attenuator is awful. Ask Billy Boat.
So there are cardboard cutouts at baseball games. What do we have to do? What do we have to do to get a McKown cutout? Maybe in an FC Tucker fire suit.
No, it'd be in my own fire suit. I've lost a lot of weight and thought I could wear my old fire suit this year and was going to show off, but it doesn't really work
You
for
could
me.
Photoshop it.
Do you suppose we could call Doug and see if we could get a 6-foot
If
stand
you
up?
can get on the phone with Doug Bulls,
Okay.
go for
You
it.
could find a house that you're listing and charge them a little extra to have their house on the little sign you're holding.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think you've got a little project. You got a couple days left to
somebody
get
get a hold
yourself
of
back in the
Huffman and
track.
see if he'll fund that. FC Tucker Crossroads needs to fund that.
They were on Sarah Fisher's car.
I think this could be
No,
fun.
that was Century 21.
Oh my!
That was the city of Newcastle.
This
I
sounds-
apologize.
This sounds troubling.
That was
Yeah.
privately funded as well. I have a picture of that.
Yep,
That was a while ago.
been several years.
He was on Carpenter. That
Yep.
was
Joseph
Newgard.
Newgard.
What would you do if? What would you get thrown out of the family if Colton Herta was in the Remax Honda next year?
I would buy a T-shirt. I do not care.
Blake and Colton Herta have a bonding.
We
Do you guys? I mean, does he know you at the track? Is this like
I
a
met
little,
him
a
out
bro
at
crush?
one way. I met him out at the go-kart track, and I mean, just sat there and talked to him. Super nice dude. I mean, he's 2 years older than me, so I mean, just young dude, similar hair. I bought his hat whenever the stores opened up last year. Got my picture taken with him about 5 times, and I mean, he recognized me. But
Well, that's cool.
yeah,
I've met his bus driver. Almost the same thing.
it really is.
Right, Ryan Eversley liked to tweet of mine on Facebook today, or on the Twitter. So I was pretty excited about that. I felt like he recognized.
I sent
me.
Colton happy birthday, and he responded.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So you're the driver closest to you in age is Colton Herta at this
Yes.
point.
Yeah.
No, there's one that'd be closer.
Is it VK? Is VK a little
VK,
closer?
yeah,
he's
he's-
19.
Colton's
Yeah.
19.
Yeah, but VK is the youngest ever, isn't he?
No, AJ was little AJ. AJ 4
Oh,
was
okay.
right at 19. It was like darn near his 19th birthday, I think. Pagano is about as close to my age now, and then for Mike, you've got to be looking
That's
like
TK or Buddy
That's-
Lazier.
yeah.
Sato.
Yeah,
Sato's
forgot about him.
deceptively.
He's old.
He's 40 something.
He's like 47.
You're like Davey Hamilton age over there.
I was watching NBC Gold. His age changed 3 times in 5 minutes. Nobody knows how
Nobody
old
has any
knows how
idea.
old Sato is.
Well, it's because it's Japanese time.
It was like he was
They
like
have
43 to
extra days.
45.
Well, they're always a
depending
day ahead, so
Yeah,
the
that's right.
the age changes faster. He's allegedly, according to the Wikipedia, he's 43.
on- Okay, yeah, he started at 45 and then he dropped to 43. I was like, which is you guys are a national news
But
network.
TK's older than that, isn't he?
Yeah, TK's older than that. I think TK may be 47.
So this is that was something else I looked up. I did not include it in my little fact sheet, my addendum to the show notes that I've been working on here. But TK is not that close to being the oldest guy ever to win the Indy 500.
It was probably Big Al.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Al, and I think. I'm going to look it up here, but I want to say that Emerson Fittipaldi was also well into his upper 40s when that turned out.
Gilles de Ferran probably was.
No, Joe was median age,
Okay.
I think. We'll see here. Googling top 10 oldest winners: Al Unser, 47 years, 360 days. Bobby Unser, 47 and 93. So once again,
And he's
Al beat Bobby.
104 now.
Emerson Fittipaldi was 46. Gordon Johncock was 45. Ari Leindeck was 43. Sam Hanks 42. Emerson was 42 the first time he won the race. He had an entire career in F1 and came back over. Foyt, Rutherford, and Maury Rose. So what's Tony Kanaan's current age? Do we know? Anybody?
My guess was 47.
Tony Kanaan. You think he's 40? Tony, like my typings over here is a little questionable. Tony Kanaan Hacksaw is the first thing that came up for me because I looked that up. He's 45. So he's got 3 more years before he's even the oldest guy to ever win the Indy 500, if he can do it.
Elio's probably close to Tony's age, too. isn't
They're right around. They grew up racing go-karts against each other.
We've all agreed on common pronunciation of Elio, not Helio.
They just
45 years old.
Yep.
So we got some guys that are up there. We're not...
They're not Danny Sullivan.
they're not... What's your year of birth, Mike?
65.
65. So you were right there in the Davey Hamilton, John Andretti kind of. Those are the
John is
those
a couple
guys
years
were-
older than me.
Yeah. We're checking, doing a little checking here to see.
Getting
I'm
into
trying to figure out some of the guys that were.
getting more and more to the drivers with suffixes. You have to type in more. To be
Yes,
able to get
it's
right
the
one.
senior version of the guy. Yeah, Davey Hamilton, because he was one of the guys that ran. His last start was 2011. So for Mike and a guy to be in his age bracket, it would have been about 2000. It's been about 8 to 10 years since there's been a guy of your age that has run the race. It's not too bad.
Seems like to me the oldest guy when I was coming through was probably Alicio Salazar.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah.
If Michael would run him, Mario would still be driving.
Yeah.
So,
and he's 80. I think they could.
Mario can still put the throttle down in the three-seater.
I guess he still insults he'll go.
Hell, when he flipped it upside down.
Worth looking up on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah,
I want to say that
I would have paid for that.
Was he 70?
I want to say it was 2003, somewhere in that range. It was the year that it was like maybe April, and I think Dario Franchitti was hurt.
It was Tony Kanaan.
Tony Kanaan was hurt.
He had like a broken wrist or something. I think it was TK. He was testing TK's car and hit a chunk of debris. Looked like he was going to clear the fence.
And that's when
that's
when TK moved in with Dr. Trammell, wasn't it, to get put back together?
So in 2003, that was the year. It was on WTHR. They happened to be running the camera off the helicopter, and I want to say that Robbie Gordon wound up replacing him in the race. Does that sound right to anybody other than me?
I thought he might have even gotten back for the race because it was like an oddball test. It was like a test day. It was like their April Open. I can't remember.
Tony Kanaan had suffered a radial fracture on his arm in April at Motegi. April 23rd, Mario Andretti took over TK's car. He had retired 9 years earlier, and Mario was going to qualify the car if he needed to, and they didn't know who was going to replace him in the race. I don't remember who actually ran the car, though.
I think Terry Trammell put him back in the car, didn't he?
I thought he might have gotten back. I've just been a while since I've read up on that. That's one of those legendary stories that comes up all the time,
and none of us know the answer to.
Yeah, I've got part of it. It's just trouble actually remembering.
Look up Tony Kanaan 2003 Indy 500. See if he pops up.
Yeah, Tony Kanaan did get in.
I thought he did because in the
he started second.
In the
he did fine.
In the Rapid Response movie, they talk about him living with Trammell and running go-karts around circles.
That was the first Indy 500 I attended, and DeFerrin won. Elio was right behind him, and Tony Kanaan was third.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Of course, DeFerrin might be French, depending upon what you check out. DeFerrin is 52, so he was only 30 something when he won that race, maybe 29. Right in that range. All right, so this is the very first year we have gaming, legalized sports gaming for the Indy 500, and I have been checking the FanDuel, Mike. I've been saving my pennies in there all spring. I put $10 in last fall, and I've been riding it, waiting on the Indy 500 to happen.
Well, in the past, there's always been a field bet that has like 12 or 13 cars in it.
Sure.
And in the year that J.R. Hildebrand crashed on the last lap and Dan Weldon won, I actually called a friend in Vegas to have him place the field bet because I liked Weldon. And it went from 101 to 10 to 1 before he could get the bet place, so he didn't do it. But I had Weldon at 100 to 1 to win that race.
So I put $2 on Marco Andretti back before any qualifying happened, and Marco was at plus 5,000. So my $2,
awesome.
my $2 if Marco wins is $100. The line has moved from it moved to 870 right after qualifying. I checked today, and it's moved to plus 850. So it has gotten 5 times tighter. So your dollar on Marco is now worth $8.50.
Yeah,
still pretty nice. I also got Connor Daly. I put $5 on Connor at plus 7,000 because I don't think whoever was running the FanDuel lines really didn't have any idea who was driving what car or what anybody was. They just kind of threw some numbers at it and said, hell with it. And they said, Connor sucked every year. He was 10th last year, but they didn't realize that he was in a Carpenter car. Yeah. And I was like, man, he's going to race really well.
That's an awesome car.
Eventually his luck's going to get better.
So my $5 on Connor Daly is going to pay out at $350 on a $5 bet, should that turn out.
But I thought I saw Elio Castroneves, a former multiple winner, that was like 3,000, plus 3,000.
Because he's not been in a car since.
Let me check.
Last year.
I tried to pull a number of them, and if you guys check once again, if you're on the Patreon, check the show notes, and we'll have the update. Kanan is plus 5,000. Carpenter is still plus 5,000 as of today. Pagano plus 1,300, which is pretty long. This is the problem, though, Zach, is that the Hondas were all great in qualifying. So if you look at the field, the Hondas are almost the entire front half of the field. 8 of the top 9.
Except for VK.
8 of the top 9 are Hondas. And then the Chevys follow along after that. So it's kind of skewed you don't know what to believe as far as who the actual favorites are on the race.
That might mean nothing come race day.
Yes, I think it means
because they're running a different boost level, then they're pulling the boost back, and then it becomes about drivability, and apparently passing is going to be difficult. And so you're looking at guys like Pagano and Castroneves who could both kind of work their way through traffic during practices before they got the boost.
Elio is right now plus 3,200
how's that happen?
on a potential 4-time winner. So $1 on Elio is $32 in return.
He's behind Alonso, who's not even in a particularly great car.
Correct. Now, what Elio doesn't necessarily have is a team that has run. He's got a Penske car, and he's got a Penske pit crew, but he doesn't have a pit crew that's been doing IndyCar races all year long.
No, they're probably the Acura guys from
I'm
the
sorry,
24 hours.
they're the
Did
what?
you just say Acura?
Acura.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's probably those guys. Blake, you're grounded.
Could you say the word vaccine for me?
Oh,
Vaccination.
no, man. Don't trigger me.
Ambulance.
How do you say Mazda?
Mazda.
All right, there we go. Good. I tried to trick him. Say Mazda like Lee Diffie. Oh, heck. Yeah, so Dixon is the favorite to win the race, plus 470. Rossi at plus 750. Marco should not be plus 850, but I think people have actually been betting on him and moving the line now at this point. Pagano at plus 1,300. Newgarden plus 1,100. The longest odds in the field, and I've typed Chilton twice on there, which is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I believe it's Hanley and Chilton are at plus 20,000, and there is one more. There is another. Dalton Kellett, plus 20,000.
Who actually qualified not horribly.
He was fine, yeah, for a
middle of the
$3
field.
on them and see what happens.
There's no way Chilton or Hanley win the race.
Well, so Chilton has led
experience.
28 laps in the Indy 500.
I thought he was going to win it the year
Only
Sato
because
won.
of
He was
fuel
up there.
mileage.
He was in a Ganassi car. He led a bunch of laps, and that car has been, with Connor Daly driving, it's been a top 5 oval car.
Yeah.
The question is he, you've had a few dark horse surprise kind of, they were up there in the top 5 and you never saw it coming. I'm talking about the year the Rahal car with Bertrand Baguette was, nearly won the Indy 500 on fuel. He was leading with 15 laps to go and the fuel mileage didn't work out for him.
I was going to say Ward in the IRL days.
Or Jeff Ward. I don't know. I just feel like that's a plus 20,000. $1 is
No chance.
nothing. No chance at all.
Might as well put $5 just in case.
Ben
something
Hanley,
happens.
I get that no chance at plus 20,000, right? No way in hell.
But-
Tell it, no way in hell.
Let's give credit where credit's due. That's a shoestring budget team, and Ben Hanley drove the wheels off that car the year before.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He got in the race.
I'm sad Kyle Kaiser's not in it this year. He has no publicity whatsoever, but I mean, he knocked Alonso out of the race.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has my respect.
My lovely bride went down to Bill Helmets and stood in line and bought a Kyle Kaiser t-shirt out of the Bill Helmet shop after work I think it was Fast Friday last year.
Wow.
After he made the race. And she still runs around in her Juncos racing
Yeah,
t-shirt.
Hanley and Dragon Speed didn't know they were going to do the race until August 7th.
They were in Belgium the weekend before.
Yeah.
And they got the deal from the Speedway to fill the field.
Great kid. Love him.
So it's exciting. I don't know. I think, and by the way, if we're giving extra credit to helmet design,
Max
Chilton's
Max-
is fantastic.
His is amazing.
to use a beaten to death phrase within the IndyCar community, his helmet design broke the internet. When he dropped it, everybody's like, and I heard Rossi say he was mad. Because it's the greatest helmet that's ever been designed. He's like, nobody will ever beat that helmet design ever. And apparently the only problem with it was they misspelled Dario Franchitti's name on it somewhere. And somebody asked Max, he's like, well, tell Dario to change the spelling of his name. But yeah, the helmet's amazing. It's look it up. It looks like a Borg Warner. It looks like the Borg Warner.
It has the Borg Warner on the back
with select drivers. And I guess some of the drivers are drivers he's had either admires or has had, like Rossi's on there, and he was a teammate with Rossi in Europe. And so it's drivers that he finds some significance with or has some connection with.
It's his actual, I mean, you have your actual competitors on there. I think that's the greatest honor ever. I've been to Daytona and looked at the Harley J. Earl Trophy, and my hero driver, my Colton Herta when I was a kid was Ernie Irvin. He won the 1991 Daytona 500. His name is misspelled on that. So sorry, Dario, but if he wins, they should put that, or hell, no matter what, they ought to take that. If he donates it, they ought to put it in the museum or send it to the Peters Museum, and it ought to be on display.
I don't even think it was his idea necessarily. I'm trying to think. I've heard him asked about it. It was done completely by his painter in Europe and then shipped over here because Chilton doesn't even have a house here. He commutes to England.
But what about the PR that a back marker team has gotten over this helmet?
Heck yeah.
Kudos.
He did a photo shoot with it on the Yard of Bricks.
Absolutely.
Very impressive.
Guys, I got to mention one guy we've not mentioned at all.
Who's that?
4,200. Ferrucci. Why is Ferrucci in a Dale Coyne car that's a pretty badass car at 4,200?
Because he's getting outrun by a rookie.
Well,
Palou. It'll be interesting because Ferrucci's fearless.
Ferrucci will be
more
ahead
fearless.
of Palou.
I like Oliver Askew's chances to put something out there. I mean, he's
To win or to be like, hey, yeah, he's top 5.
top 5, top 10. Yeah, I mean,
He could be the Richie Hearn.
Did he pull it together at the end because he was scared during the week of practice? He would just bail. Like he was at one time. I watched so much practice, and he would just be like, he got out there.
NBC
like,
Gold.
They're like, what do you want me to do? And they're like, I don't know, do whatever you want. And he didn't know what to do in practice. And at one point, Alonso pulled up next to him, and they were listening to his radio. Nobody said anything to him. He just pitted. Nobody told him to. It's like, oh gosh, Alonso's next to me. I pit. Like, I was like, this is going to be like, if you can't handle traffic, that start is going to be the roughest minute and a half of your life trying to get through that first lap or two, because you can't, especially if you're in the back, you can't see anything, getting all the dust thrown up at you. But
if you can get Tony Kanaan at plus 5,000, I don't know. It's just a matter of if a Foyt car.
He's in a Foyt car.
He's always going to lead. He's just about always going to lead the race.
Yeah, they're going to do that with pit strategy or something, but I don't think it's.
All right. So do you think you have to have a Honda or a Chevy? Is there going to be one that's going to be the clear winner? Because last year you needed to have a Chevrolet if you were going to have a chance. The Menards car for Simon Pagenaud was, if they ran 10 laps, Pagenaud was leading 9 of them, and Rossi could barely get by him on horsepower.
But Rossi was
there
there
right away.
Yeah, Rossi was there. I don't think you ever count out Alexander Rossi. He is a badass in a car. I don't think you count him out. He was underpowered and still there. I don't believe in sandbagging, especially in the Indianapolis 500, but I think Chevy's got more race day than what they're showing.
I think the Penske guys have more race day than what they've shown.
We've kind of heard it throughout the month that Pagenaud still has a darn good car in traffic, which he's going to need because I think he's starting about 25th. But they've got a car that potentially can handle its way through. And
if it's hard to pass, though, they have to find a way up there. That'll be the hard part. If it's difficult to pass, that's a lot of cars to pass. And they'll get people during pit stops, and they're saying now that they might even be needing more pit stops than normal. So normally it's like 6 to 7. They might be looking like 7 to 9 pit stops. That's a lot of pit stops. You can get a lot of time there.
And I take Penske in any pit stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Penske and Andretti have their pit stops down.
And you have seen, if you've watched the series, the IndyCar series throughout the year, pit stops have been a problem. These guys haven't been able to get together because of COVID. They've not been doing a lot of pit stop practice, and it's just not been perfect. Will Power at Iowa had a wheel fall off, and the left front wheel came off because it wasn't good to go, and he crashed a car, right? So that Penske had an issue there, and we've seen it a number of places. I know Coyne's had issues, Andretti's had issues. That's going to be another factor where you could be the best driver. You could, Scott Dixon's favored to win, and they screw up putting a wheel back on, and
look
it's over.
Look how many fueling problems we've had.
Absolutely.
Back to Rossi being up there, but just not having it at the end. He had a 20-second pit stop because his fueler couldn't get it in the tank. I mean,
in last year's race.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
See if Zach Veach catches fire this year.
Zach Veach crashes in the first 3 laps.
We keep setting him on fire too, though.
I'm not a fan of Zach Veach.
I'm glad his car's on the track and it's good for the series. And I think he ran really good at Texas, didn't he? He was top 5 at Texas this year.
For a while, yeah.
I think he finished top 5. Zach can double check me, but I think he had a very, very good car to start Texas. He was like the bright spot for Andretti. The first 4 races of the year were absolute disaster for Rossi and Marco.
The past 4 years for Marco have been a disaster. Granted.
Yeah. This is a happy update for him. All right. So we think that the advantage that Honda had in qualifying was a qualifying advantage only, and that the Penske cars can race back up and through. It's the time where we're going to start picking people. Producer Chris, I expect you to come up with a name. We need a favorite and a dark horse. And if you
Don't
can't work
say
it out,
Salt Walther.
if you can't work it out, there are names on the paper for you to work from.
That's what I'm going on. I'm looking at. I'm going to go with Simon because he carries a cool little dog around with him.
All right.
Norman.
He's on the trophy. He's on the trophy and 2 sets of tickets.
And then, based on name alone, the guy at plus 5,000, Palou.
There you go. The rookie.
Yeah, I'm going with him.
The Spanish rookie.
Happy little rookie.
Qualified in the top 9. So that was good. That's impressive. That's fair. Those are reasonable.
He ran
Yep,
240 miles an hour down the straightaway during his Fast 9 run.
I know, Zach. You don't think I know this?
It's
Gosh.
fun to watch the commentators lose their minds. Everybody else is
With a 10-mile-an-hour tailwind.
Hey,
faster than everybody else. Though. I don't think anybody else did 240.
that's a hell of a number. It's a hell of a number. All right, Blake, handicapper to the stars here. We're gonna play it back. Who's assuming that you can get your dad's social security number to log into a FanDuel account? Where are we putting money?
I mean, you can never count Power out, but
Okay.
I'm sticking with Herta. That's just my own bias.
So Herta's your favorite.
Yeah. And then I'm going with Askew for my dark horse.
Oliver Askew at plus 4,200, and Colton Herta at plus 2,000. Herta has completed a grand total of 2 laps in the Indy 500 so far in his career, but he's also won 2 races as a teenager.
Yes. I mean, he's just a badass and can drive the wheels off the car.
It's fair. And his dad wasn't too bad either. And his dad is the number 1 strategist, the chief strategist for Marco, who's starting first. All right, Senior McKown.
I'm going to have to go with Marco just out of respect. I'm going to always take the Andretti as my favorite. And I am going to come back with my dark horse. I have to have 2 because I'm going to go with Elio Castroneves because Elio Castroneves should never be a dark horse, but in this situation, as a one-off.
The numbers show us that he is a dark horse and
Yes.
potentially making his last Indy 500 start.
And the other
20th
guy,
start.
I'm going to go with is Rosenquist.
It's kind of in the middle, right? Plus 20,
Yep.
plus 2,800. He's in a Ganassi car. I think it's he's already won a race this year.
What kind of story will it be for Marco to be a back marker for the last several seasons? Came out in the tribute car to his grandfather last year and just stunk it up.
Oh my God.
Okay.
It was the worst car on the track.
Uncle John dies of cancer, one of the most popular drivers ever. Marco Andretti comes back and wins the 500. Why? Because I can't go to the race.
Shut out.
Shut out.
Shut out.
His one might be the best strategist too for winning the 500. Herta.
With Brian Herta, absolutely.
Yeah, and that could be Herta's 3rd win in
With
less
3
than
different
10 years,
drivers.
with 3 different drivers on that car,
All with the 98 car.
all with the 98 car, and all just like none of them normal, none of them just like driving away. That he had
This one might
be. Yeah, this
I mean,
is the best
his
chance he has.
his driver starting on the pole in a race that very well may be difficult to pass in traffic.
But like Weldon got beamed into turn 4, like came out of a starship. Nobody knew where he was.
Clutch and coast.
and then you have the clutch and coast with Rossi. that was bizarre. So he's a great strategist, and he seems to know how to handle Marco, which is a skill to have.
All right, give me a favorite, Zach, and a dark horse. 33 options.
For my favorite, I'll say Hinch. I think it's a good year for him to kind of come out of the woodwork, and he's got a crew that has worked this year some. He's in a good car, and they even thought that he had the best Andretti car until Marco threw down on Saturday. Dark horse, I'll Tony Kanaan. I like Tony Kanaan. He's a smart guy. He could find his way into a good spot depending on how the strategy works.
That'd be an awfully nice story too for AJ Foyt to get to victory lane again.
It would be phenomenal.
Final ride
in his red, white, and blue
ABC
supply car.
That dumped him.
They're running. They're in that color. Those colors this race. So but that is one of the longest standing sponsorships in IndyCar racing at this point, right? I mean, it's like
Target for a bit.
Target was there forever. Marlboro was there forever, and the ABC supply cars have been around since, gosh, I don't even know, all the way back to. I don't even know who drove those first. It's been the mid 2000s.
Darren Manning was in it for a while.
Yeah,
I have a Darren Manning diecast.
Me too.
An ABC car.
He was the Grand Marshal at my Pinewood Derby.
Old Dad may have pulled a couple of strings and got an Indy car.
That's fantastic.
Driver to the Pinewood Derby.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to go. I don't know if he counts as a dark horse now because I got Marco at plus 5,000, but he's plus 850 now. But he's my sentimental pick for sure because that would be incredible. But I think that, man. I think Dixon is the favorite. He hasn't won since
so many races.
He hasn't won since 2008. He's going to win the race with nobody there, and it's just going to be a tick the boxes 500 and
another badass
ho hum, and Dixon wins.
It is bizarre to think that he only I was like, no, he can't have won just once. I look like he has. He's only won one time, and it's so bizarre.
He's kind of had a star-crossed Indy 500 though. Career. He had the big crash we were talking with Rusty about here. Rusty from Mount Comfort RV, where his car speared. Dixon when he was in the Camping World car, which was surreal. By the way, shout out to Scott's team. He crashed in practice on Sunday afternoon. They had the Fast 9 qualifying, Fast 9 shootout. He crashes his car about 3:00. 65 minutes later, they had the car put back together, back on the track, and a half an hour after that, he ran the fastest lap of the practice session. I mean, the guy is just
and even just to get turned over in time to get out for practice. I mean, I think they have to do some. It's not just a simple turning some wrenches to go from qualifying trim to race trim. I mean, they're probably like swapping some wings and stuff just to get it done. Because if you see how little wing they run for qualifying, it's bizarre because you'll see the rear wing.
Looks like a skateboard.
It's aiming up because it's actually taking downforce. The rear wing's taking downforce off the car because most of it comes off of the under tray. The whole car is kind of a wing.
So this is Blake and I's actual second IndyCar podcast of the season.
It is.
Yeah.
Cheater.
Newcastle legend Rico Elmore that owns Fatheads has a auto racing podcast, and Blake and I went when Scott Dixon was the guest.
Awesome.
And that guy has no pulse. He is just focused all the time. A wonderful guy. Came up, hard knocks, no money, through go-karts, all the way through Europe.
His Netflix documentary is fantastic. I haven't watched that.
I have it downloaded for whenever I don't have data at school to watch.
Yeah, so you just watch that instead of paying attention
I'm
in class.
old. I've got
that and the Wolf of Wall Street.
I've got the
I bought the DVD.
But great guy. Great guy.
My long shot is Connor as well. I'm going to do that as my long shot pick because I got him as a long shot plus 7,000, and that's entirely for my personal gain. Because there's $350 coming my way if Connor can win.
He would be Connor's luck to win it with nobody there.
He'll win. Connor will win the race when it pays half.
For sure.
Pays half. Yes. Which means it's like congratulations, buddy. You made 75 cents off this deal. Do you want us to? Do you want me to put just gas card? You want me to give you a Speedway gas card?
But if Connor listens to this and wins the race, he is going to come after you for part of that 350. I assure you.
Oh, for sure. He's got to pay Rossi rent.
We will. We'll let him come on and we'll talk through it. We'll settle it like men. If Connor drinks buttermilk instead of skim milk and he wins the race, I'll split it with him half. I'll make that deal today.
That's an endorsement.
You got to change it over to buttermilk though, because that was good enough for Louis Meyer.
And who is on Connor Daly's car? Fatheads and
Cole Pern.
Jack's Donuts.
As I was going to say, he's had Jack's on the helmet before.
Yep. Lee Markham and Jack's Donuts did a wonderful job. Got on Connor's car, and so did Rico with Fatheads.
I actually saw that coming. Didn't see it coming. But like Lee goes to Pacers games. Lee's a big fan of all
Connor
things.
sits real close
all
to
things
him.
Hoosier.
Yeah.
He's the official donut man of the Indiana Pacers.
It's on the box.
And so he posted a picture on Instagram. He's at a Pacer game. Connor posted a picture, scrolling through my Instagram feed. I'm like, that looks like they're real close to each other. And I actually shot him a message and said, hey, you should talk to this IndyCar driver who's over there. And he's like, oh yeah, we were actually, they started the relationship at that Pacer game. I think that might have been intentional that they were like, oh, we'll meet here or something like that. But it started there. And I was like, I had shot Lee a message. You need to talk to this guy. There's an IndyCar driver. I think he's sitting right where you're sitting. And I think they were either there together or happened to be next to each other.
The other cool thing, we were talking about helmets and Max Chilton's helmet. Connor's helmet this year is also pretty darn neat. Because he
has awesome helmets.
He's got Dan Weldon on it.
Yeah.
He's got Justin Wilson on it. And he's got Brian Clausen on it. 3 guys that he raced against in the Indy 500.
Right in the camera shot too.
But they're right on top. They're riding with him. They're on top of it. So very cool. It'd be a fantastic story if he or Carpenter won. Right? It'd be great for Indiana, and we would all be
especially
at our TVs
fans.
from a distance.
Especially with no fans.
But it feels like that's just going to be the luck of it's like the greatest hometown victory ever. TK wins a second one. Dix, it could be Carpenter or whatever, or Daly, and then we're not there to watch it. No, that's why I'm hoping it's just Dixon's second. We tick the box, and it's like, yep, it's like when Elio won the second time, whatever.
Dixon would probably
wins back to back.
And Dixon would probably almost enjoy it just being like nobody there, because they said he's thoroughly enjoyed having to wear a mask everywhere. Because even the few people that could recognize him won't recognize him with a mask on. Except everybody knows his mask now. If you're a fan, but everybody, I could not. No, Zach, you're in a different level of knowing that, because I have no clue. The same mask.
It has like a starburst.
It's got like a starburst pattern, and it was actually an artwork that was designed by his manager Stefan Johansson, and they described it. They talked about it on NBC Gold.
I watched that too. Sorry.
So I did watch a lot of NBC Gold, but I missed that segment. I'll have to just start it over and make Sarah suffer through 28 hours of coverage or whatever is out there. The mask that everybody's been talking about is the Hinchcliffe mask.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, I want one of those. And here's another thing.
No, you don't.
That's
you want
because
a
it
Boss
would
Hog
look
mask.
just like you.
Okay, but I'll tell you what, this will date Blake. I'll have no idea what I'm talking about. But anybody that's my age and played GoldenEye on Nintendo 64, that's what the faces look like when you play like that era, like a 64-bit first-person shooter.
Just a little
it's
awkward.
Just this frozen
and
face, and it's not quite in proportion, and that's what that immediately reminded me of. I was like,
I had a job then. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was in college. We had nothing better to do. Play GoldenEye. That mask is pretty. It's pretty amazing because he talks, but the mouth doesn't actually move. And his face is just a little bit too big on the mask.
Denny Hamlin did it first, and Denny wore that when he won his first race after COVID came out. He had the mask with his face print. So it's been done, but it's also been a winning move. So
yeah.
And wouldn't that be the most weird ass picture ever in Victory Lane, Mike? With
no masks in Victory Lane,
with Hinch wearing his crazy ass mask.
Here's what I think is it'd be interesting to see if they get a baby Borg. And the baby Borg on it has a little relief of their face. If they
it's got the mask on it.
The mask should be on the baby
It's not going to happen.
It should be on the baby Borg, not the real Borg, the baby Borg.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
They put
Doug Bowles is going to send me a text about liability here in a little bit.
Are you and Doug Bowles friends? Like, I have that serious question.
Everybody's
do you have
friends.
his number? Or like,
I do not have his number.
Zach has real good success at getting Doug to tweet him back. I got Doug Bowles is incredible, right? So last year we stayed at the in the museum lot for the GP of Indy. The bathroom lights turned off, and I'm like, "Hey!" I tweeted Doug, and 15 minutes later, they had the bathroom lights back on.
It is amazing
in the middle of the night.
I feel bad to bug Doug. I bug Doug a lot on Twitter.
Guy gets stuff done.
But you tweet the track about something fairly significant. Nothing happens. You tweet Doug, it's fixed in 30 seconds. It's like it's amazing. Like, how does he have this much time? but he shouldn't be dealing with my problems.
The number one thing is the guest experience, and that is it.
But he does have his own Lego figure in the gift shop.
That's impressive.
Is it a blue suit with tan shoes?
I don't know. It was not the cool blue suit. I really like the blue suit.
All right, so let's look forward to a happier year. 2021, Jimmy Johnson tested an IndyCar, finally. After his third time's a charm, he finally got to test an IndyCar, and there's a story that came out today in Racer. He appeared in the Dale Jr. download, said he wants to do the full IndyCar road and street circuit next year, and then maybe for 22, he wants to do the Indianapolis 500, potentially.
I
Seven-time
think his
NASCAR
wife's
champion.
dead set against ovals.
He said with the cockpit protector deal, it's kind of a different story now. It's a maybe.
All right.
It's moved from a no to a maybe.
Well,
Leaning
my
towards
top
wanting to do
secret
it.
sources say that Kurt Busch wants to come back badly.
So that's the thing is
That
looking
was one
forward
of my
to,
favorite races
looking forward
I've
to
ever been
21 and 22. Who's coming? Fernando is not. Fernando, this is going to be the last one for Fernando for at least 2 years because he's
Isn't
going
that
back
a
to
shame?
Formula One. He hasn't won you over.
Not at all. I waited about 10 hours to sign my
I
helmet.
think it'd be interesting to see what Fernando would do if he'd ever come to IndyCar and stuck around for a while, because Rossi was the same way when he came here. Europeans, that's a different. I remember I went to F1 when it was here, and you couldn't get within 50 yards of a driver. And if you did, I remember Felipe Massa walked by. I don't remember Felipe Massa. I remember the 6'7" behemoth of a bodyguard that told everybody to stay away from Felipe Massa and literally shoved everybody back.
I don't know. I have to go back before then because when we had the number 5 car at Newman Haas, that Formula One driver came in, Nigel Mansell, and just kicked everybody's ass. He was a real driver, and he came in, and he was not as forward thinking.
93, 94 seasons.
Oh, absolutely. But Nigel was a badass. He did not do the fan experience. Like,
I don't think it's optional now.
it's not optional.
It would be interesting to see if you showed them, like, okay, you get to do an hour autograph session. What day? Every day. Every day we do an autograph session for. And even you watch the videos of the guys, and they're all posting these pictures. Well, they'll line up what looks to be 150 or 200 die casts, and they're all for one driver, and he's just autographing them over and over and over again. And I was like, I don't think Formula One drivers do that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. So you think maybe Kurt Busch is coming back? That's your bucket list guy
I'd
coming
like
in.
to see that.
is he going to bring Kyle? Because Kyle wants to come here too.
Kyle can stay in NASCAR.
Shrub can drive.
You're Mike. You're looking for the return of Nigel Mansell,
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome?
who would be the oldest driver to win.
Yeah, let's bring back Willie T. Ribbs too, please.
Our boy Mason, intern Mason, has become speaking of Netflix documentaries, the biggest Willie T. Ribbs fan ever.
Uppity.
It's a very
Huge
good
fan.
documentary.
After watching
Documentary.
Uppity, Mason is fully on board with Willie. Fantastic.
I had a part in getting Kodak to sponsor Willie T. Ribbs back in the day.
Could have gotten a little bit more money, man.
He got McDonald's first, and then we brought Kodak on. So.
You got Kodak in. All right, Zach, who's your dream? Who's your guy you want to bring in? You want Kyle Larson?
No. I think he'll show up eventually, but somebody was like, why isn't he running the car this year? I'm like, because he's still radioactive for at least till
At least another
this
decade
calendar.
and a half.
Well, this calendar year.
Whose suspension do you think was going to last longer, Kyle Larson's or Kenan Gray's? Because Kennan's back.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I blocked. He's blocked me. Larson will probably get picked up by Stuart Haas next year because I know that Tony said he kind of wants him. He has to do his time. I think he's probably
he's got to open up a seat too. That means Clint Boyer is going to be in trouble. Probably
somebody. Who would be a good person to bring in? I'm trying to think even like just because I think he'd be a blast in the series. Daniel Ricciardo from Formula One, I think would be hilarious in IndyCar because I think it's way more his crowd and his like atmosphere. So I think it'd be fun. I don't think he'd tear it up necessarily at first. I don't think any of them would, but he's a guy that looks like he's way too much fun to be in Formula One.
First time since 1991, no females in the race.
Yeah.
Got to get Simona Di Silvestro back.
Yes. So, and somebody mentioned, Marshall Pruitt mentioned her today, and she replied, and she's just like, yeah, Yeah, I miss her dearly. She was great. Catherine Legg.
Catherine Legg was awesome, and she was in a very bad accident.
Yeah, she's in a wheelchair because she broke her leg, so she's still recovering.
She's recovering right now.
But yeah, I do miss Simona. She was great. She
could drive.
She was a very, very, very competent driver, and she did not. She was with HVM. She was not with the best teams when she came
One of her
here.
cars was nicknamed Pork Chop.
Yeah,
the car had a nickname because it was such an old pile of garbage. I forget how much they say it was like. It was like I think hundreds of pounds heavier than a normal car because it was like the first of that generational car, and it had its own Twitter account. It was such a kind of a hunk of junk.
And then the other one I think that would be fun if they came, and there's a connection now with McLaren, is if Lando Norris found a way to do an Indy 500.
He would be
at some point.
Wicked fast.
Lando has been. He's very young. He's very Americanized. He's probably one of the most Americanized IndyCar or Formula One drivers that's out there. He's here constantly. If you watch his Instagram, it's consistent.
Ricciardo's here quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I would love to see Lando.
They made the mistake of inviting Lando to one of the iRacing events and like, oh, guess what, guys? He's been doing this since he was 6. He was good. Like cheat code faster than everybody else.
I watched a video today during my math class. It was Mark Marquez driving a Formula One car. The MotoGP driver drove the hell out of the Formula One car.
Apparently, I just forgot his name. The doctor. Valentino Rossi tested.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dr. Miller.
No. And you want to see some other crazy videos? The motorcycle world had a really, really rough weekend, and Rossi had a bike fly past his head. Like
that's the most fun racing I've ever seen.
As he's riding, and he had another one go in front of him, or two go in front of him. I think another guy got split by him. I heard he tested a Formula One car and didn't do too bad. Once you've got the reflex, I guess you've got it.
Okay, so we are at the point in the show where we start to do our final thoughts. We'll start with producer Chris. This is where we plug things we need to plug, talk about stuff we missed, have to clean up any errors we missed, any mistakes we made.
I will say,
Chrissy Poo, what are you looking for a house over there?
I am.
You want somebody to list with Mike and sell to you here? Somebody that's thinking about moving?
No, because I have the #1 realtor in Henry County working for me. So,
why don't you have a house then, Chris?
Because I am very particular, and if you've ever met my fiance, you will know.
She can't be particular if she chose you.
Hey, listen, about this house, she can be. She might have settled for me, but she's picky about the house.
She's looking at 3-bedroom,
3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, within
ranches in Fall Creek Township,
within a 30-minute drive of the far side of Anderson.
She's a spot
but we want to live in Henry County.
Guffey knows where he wants to live, so they're going to live where she wants to live.
She's going to live.
I really hope you enjoy Ellick.
Yeah, I'm really liking the looks of Alexandria right about now. But
it's going to be a hell of a commute to Boss Hog.
Yeah, I was going to say, out of every episode we do, the Indy 500 one is probably the one I disconnect the most with.
We've noticed because you haven't paid attention.
I haven't.
You really tried there in the Patreon.
I forgot you were there for a second.
I tried, but
he's playing Mahjong over there or something.
Probably.
Gambling.
But, yeah, that's the likelihood. But for some reason, I just disconnect with this. I can't get behind it. Can't. But I'm glad you guys like it. This is your hobby. My hobby's hockey, sports in general.
Sports
till the ice melts.
This is a sport. By the way, this one's still happening. I don't know how's your fuel team this year?
They canceled the season, and they postponed. The ECHL has postponed the season until December.
Playoff hockey has been
NHL. Yes,
the Caps are still alive. So
are they playing are they playing in a bubble? Are they doing bubble?
Yes, I believe they are. Yeah, I think all sports are playing in bubbles right now.
Not NASCAR, not IndyCar. They're traveling.
I said sports.
The MLBs.
They've got a bubble. They're not letting Mike in.
Say it with me. Sports. What real men do.
Okay. All right, you go 240 into a wall.
All right, Blake, what do you got for us?
Not much. Thanks for letting me pop in.
You're talking. You
have your final parting shot here.
Yeah,
it has to be Newcastle tennis tomorrow.
Oh yeah, senior night tomorrow night.
Senior night.
Yep.
You got the Butler Bulldogs are sending out some folks to check you out.
We'll see.
You're being scouted.
I don't know about that one.
If people want to find you, I'm sure you're not on the Facebook, so they got to go to the Instagram, the Snapchats, the TikToks? How do they find you?
I'm not on TikTok. Deleted that. Yeah, got it.
Because Trump said you couldn't have it anymore.
That's exactly why I
Yeah.
deleted it.
You're unfollowable.
I am on Twitter. Just look up Blake McKown.
There we go.
Blake McKown. Yeah,
All right. Are you verified? Is Newcastle being in the Newcastle media? Does that get you verified? Get the little blue check mark? Because you would be the second verified person we've had on in the last 2 months if you are.
Did you have Mason Gillis on?
We had Joey Molinaro of Barstool Sports.
I love Barstool.
Man, we've had Joey on a couple times. We made Joey. We discovered
I literally
Joey.
did a presentation over Dave Portnoy today.
Yeah. Dave is dying. You should really check on Dave. He's not looking good.
Dave's having a rough time right now.
Dave is tweeting from his COVID bed, and at some point he's going to try to eat a pizza, and I think he's going to choke on it.
I love the pizza reviews. Barstool. I love Barstool. I had a whole presentation over Dave today.
There you go.
If Dave's listening, he wants an internship.
I would pay to have internship.
So that is Joey was a Barstool intern, and then he met Riley Molinaro, Kristen, and the next thing you know, he's over there in New York City. So check out the past episodes. He's been on here a few times. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming out.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. A lot of fun.
That's a badass shirt.
That's Wilson.
I tried to wear that shirt on the news one time. And like, no, you can't wear that on the news.
Why?
I wear it to stay neutral.
Because I was going to be on TV, and they're like, you can't put that on TV. Badass.
Whatever. That's
Change shirts again.
What channel was that? So I know not to watch them. Was it Channel 8?
No, it wasn't Channel 8. There's only people that didn't come by that year. So I think it was Channel 6 or 13.
I need to know who to hate.
It's
I don't know.
not 13.
I was on the news like
Dave
9
Calabro.
times that weekend.
Dave Calabro would probably
He
wear one
promotes
himself.
it. Yeah, he promotes it.
All right, Mike. What do
Well,
we
my
got?
parting shot number one is Blake McKown and number one doubles tomorrow against the BRV.
Oh, my Trojans.
The Bird.
The
My
Bird.
Vikings.
Yes. And then I guess my parting shot is to all of our high school athletes that are dealing with this COVID mess. Knightstown, I didn't get to photograph their football pictures today because of quarantine and COVID tests. Our Trojans are out for the first 2 weeks in 2 games that they could very well have easily won.
The football team misses their senior night. That was for next week.
Yeah. Volleyball has 3 Division I players out in Newcastle. My shout out is to those kids and just say keep positive and hope that this doesn't last and we all get to go back to school and enjoy high school sports.
Find a way. Keep finding a way to push forward and never give up, right?
That's it.
Keep pushing. Keep pushing. All right, Zach.
I'll just push L&K. Don't know why I always push L&K, but they've got stuff going on every Saturday. Go over there and they're cooking food. They're selling.
They got a corn roaster.
They got a corn roaster, and they'll bring in food trucks and other small vendors from around the community. So they're kind of making their own little farmers market on Saturday. And if you're a race fan, Marshall Pruitt just dropped a 16-part special on John Andretti.
Yep.
Where he interviews all kinds of people about him, and some of that touches Newcastle because he did his race for Riley at the go-kart track for years. Raised a whole lot of money doing that. So that's something to check out. And if you want to kind of get caught up on the race, what's going on, Marshall's podcast is always like second to none on getting information. So check that stuff out if you want something to watch. And then Uppity's great. The Scott Dixon documentary, I think, is on Amazon Prime. To at least buy it, I think. And
I think it's on
response.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Netflix,
yes.
yeah, it's
Rapid
fantastic.
response is incredible.
So there's go look up some Indy 500 stuff and celebrate Maugust with the rest of us who don't know what month it is.
It took me a while to catch on to Maugust. I'm not going to lie. Finally got it.
Just figured it out tonight.
This is the first time I've heard it.
Guffey, are you up to speed? Maugust?
You should
I
know
can
that.
only guess.
You know who I think coined that phrase, and so if anybody, your family should pick up was I think that was Bree Rentz coined that phrase from Ed Carpenter.
She's had it on her
She's all about the Maugust.
hashtag.
Yeah. I'm jealous of her because she posts her pictures on Instagram
Bree's awesome.
every night from she's the last one out of the track. It's sun setting, it's dark, and that's where she's at.
That's how she works. She's awesome.
All right. So August 23rd is the Indy 500, and it's also my wife's 30th birthday. So Sarah was supposed to be turning 30 and turned 3, and now we're turning 30 at the poolside, but it's going to be okay. We're going to have some fun. So
Which one are you more excited about, can I ask?
Oh, man.
Put you in a tough spot.
He's my son.
I am really, really excited about Sunday. So we're going to make the best of it. We're going to have some family. We're going to have some friends over, and it's going to be a good time.
Son, the older you get, the more politically correct you become.
My wife is fantastic, and she completely and fully embraced that her birthday was going to be in the infield. We were going to be watching the race and having the race and doing it.
She has patience of a saint.
And she knew what she was getting. She was a racer before I met her, right? She was a go-kart racer. Her dad, Kevin,
I was never allowed to race go-karts.
owned a go-kart series, and they were in it, and they're more connected to some of the grassroots racing than I ever have been or ever will be. So she gets it and comes from a family that gets it. So I'm really excited to spend Sunday with her wherever we're at, and it's going to be at home. So it's going to be good.
Well, let me tell you this. I am hurting for racing so bad. Mike McKown was at Mount Lawn Speedway last Sunday.
He told me to put my truck in the race for next week. I did
Mount Lawn Speedway.
Now, your truck is for something special, isn't it?
It has a story, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to just stick that in at Mount Lawn.
No, probably not. It's nice and shiny and pretty. I waxed it last week.
If you had to put a number on the side of it, what number would it be?
29.
12.
29.
Why 29? Big Kevin Harvick fan?
No. My mom's birthday is July 29th, so I've changed my baseball number to 29.
You're 29 now.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. The other thing I was pitching, I was a big John Andretti fan. He's the reason why I went from NASCAR to IndyCar. They released, I think it's the book's coming out in early September, but if you pre-ordered it, you magically had it show up. Jade Gurse and John Andretti put together Racer. I believe 5 to 10% of the proceeds of the book are going to go to Riley Children's Hospital, which is a part of the Race for Riley that was run here. So got my Check It for Andretti shirt on, wearing at one last Indy 500, I guess. Excited it came out. Just got the copy. Have not read it yet, but I'm looking forward to some of the stories that are in there. John was one of the most Indiana guy, obviously, and one of the most diverse racers that we ever had the chance to watch. So he's the
won in NASCAR, IndyCar, and NHRA.
I don't think he won in NHRA, but he did do Top Fuel. He won in IMSA. He won the 24 Hours of Daytona. He ran the Bathurst 1000. Just incredible. It drove everything he could. So really, really cool driver. I think you can go out and get some more racing on Sunday night at the State Fairgrounds, too. The Hoosier 100's happening again. After the Indy 500, they're running.
There's one at the Speedrome, I think, Friday night, too, or Saturday night as well.
Is Anderson still doing their
Anderson should have
the
night before the 500. Mike Morrell is saying that, they're Friday and Sunday, there are Silver Crown races. I know the Silver Crown cars, which we have
Go Kyle Robbins.
Well, I was going to say, we got Kyle Robbins in the Magna Machine and Tool car.
Absolutely.
Based here in Newcastle, who he finished third in Pennsylvania, and he finished, I think, eighth the other night at Salem Speedway, Southern Indiana.
Little Jet Neal's coming up too.
Jet's on his way. So we got some local. Mike says Friday night they're at Lucas Oil. Sunday they're on the dirt. So going pavement to dirt over 2 days.
I think
Silver Crown cars are cool because you use the same car, same drivers, multiple disciplines, dirt and asphalt.
I do have one question about this desk. The last time I was at this seat, there was an ink pen that had nothing in it.
Yes.
This time there's a pen that's.
I told you last week. I called him out on the show.
Pen.
Dakota broke that pen on the air, and it's over there still.
And
that's a nice pen.
This is a really nice pen.
That was one of my personal pens.
And I went to do this. I was like, why is it acting like it's a mechanical pencil? If you hit it the wrong way, it just disappears. Or if you hold it just right, you get right with it. But it's still here. Every time I come here, there's a maimed pen just laying there for me.
I think it's Guffey.
No, this is Dakota's.
He's been awfully quiet about
This is Dakota's seat.
Definitely Dakota's fault. Mike Burrell is in the chat. He says that Kyle is second in points. Last year, he's the Rookie of the Year. Now he's second in the Silver Crown points.
Way to go, Kyle Robbins.
Fantastic. All right. That's going to be the end of this. We will be back Thursday of next week. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I'm the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at wearelibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to wearelibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at wearelibertarians.com.